Hi, and welcome to this lab session on how to start using the RapidMiner toolkit. So you have to install the RapidMiner into your machine, then start with a blank process, which is to start a new process from scratch in the design view. So here you click on the a new process. So as you can see, the platform contains a number of windows, which are the repository, operators, then the parameters, and the process window. So let's start with creating a new repository by clicking on the drop-down window next to the import data. So create a new repository by specifying the name for the repository, for example, USM, then finish the creation. Then you can see that the USM contains a new subfolders that I have earlier created. So I will delete them and recreate them. So you may create a new folder into the USM repository by double click on this USM repository, create subfolders, and specify a new subfolder name. For example, data 2020 and OK. Then also you can create a new subfolder with the name process. So using these subfolders, you may use them to import data or to store the process into the subfolder. So you can import data by going to operators, then search for the read, then search for the proper read operator based on your data set. So for my case, I will go with the read Excel because my data it is in the Excel sheet, and I will search for the data by clicking on the operators. So here's the data. So by clicking on next, the data is imported. Now you can process and see the data. So the data contains number of rows and columns. You can store the imported data into your repository under the data subfolder by searching for the store operator. So this is the store operator, but you have to specify the location, which is the USM, then the data, then you have to specify the data name. So this is, for example, tell USM and OK. So this is the data. By clicking on the process, you have the data being stored into your subfolder data 2020. So this is how to import and store data into your subfolder under the created repository. Also, you can save the process that you have initialized using the save process as process 1 or whatever name you would like to use under the process folder so that you will not lose this process. So now let's extract data from Twitter. So by starting a new blank process, we will first there are steps to extract data from Twitter. First, you have to specify the connection or to authorize the connection with the Twitter. and you have to have the, for example, for sure you have to have the Twitter account. So on connections, you create a new connection, then specify the connection type, which is Twitter. Roll down Twitter and connection name. Let's give a name, which is, for example, Twitter. Connect, then create. So you have to specify the access token using this button. So I would like to show the URL instead, because sometimes the request access token will take this request into Edge browser. So I would like to take the URL instead by copying the URL and go to my browser, which is the Google Chrome. And by authorizing the connection, you will see code or passcode, and you have to copy the code into this search. Complete the connection. You have to test the connection by clicking on test connection and see if it is successful. If the test is successful, that means the connection with RapidMiner, between the RapidMiner and Twitter, is successful. Then save the connection. As you can see here, I have two Twitter connection because I have made this earlier. So you can choose whatever you like if it is working. So this is a Twitter connection. Now you have to search for the Twitter search. So this is a Twitter search operator. Yeah, connect that into the output port, then specify the parameters. So for the connection entry, you have to specify the connection, which is the Twitter connect. Then you have to specify the query, for example, KFC hash, for example. And specify the limit of the query, which is how many tweets you would like to extract. And you also can specify the language. So this is how to specify the repository, the parameters for the search Twitter. Then click on process and see if this will work. It is working, and you have the text column here. That means we have extracted these tweets based on the query, which are 100 tweets based on the limit of the query. Also, you can store this into your repository by searching for the proper operators. In this case, we want to store the extracted tweets into, for example, XML or Excel sheet or CSV file, whatever you write. So here I will store it into Excel. Also, I have to specify the connection. So here I will search for, again, for store. And connect the right Excel to store the data. And also you have to specify the Excel file. If it is not connected to the output port, you have then the saving of the data will be on your machine. If you connect the store operator into the output port, then you have to look at the repository entry. So in this case, it is USM data. So KFC. So also make sure that the connection between the write Excel and the store, it is using the second port here. And let's see if it is working. Now you have to fix the Excel file. Required a parameter missing, which is the Excel file. You have to specify that on your machine or your laptop. And we will process and see if it is working. So now I have extracted the data from Twitter, and also I have stored them into my repository. So you can save this process using the save process here and process Twitter. So this is the end of this tutorial. You may extract data from Twitter based on your interests and share it with your friends and see if the extracted data is valuable.